British Prime Minister to have been found to have broken the law. Meanwhile, Shanghai's entered a third week of COVID lockdowns. Millions are still confined to their homes. Elsewhere, Emmanuel Macron narrowly leads Marine Le Pen in polls as France gears up for its presidential election next weekend. And Elon Musk's offered to buy Twitter, outlining his intentions to make the social media platform a private company. The world's richest man is Twitter's largest individual shareholder. Ira Spitzer has the details from San Francisco.
In an SEC filing, Elon Musk said he doesn't have confidence in Twitter's management and called his offer to purchase Twitter at more than $40 billion his best and final offer. Musk also indicated that if Twitter's board doesn't accept the offer, he would reconsider his recently revealed 9% stake in the company. The outspoken Tesla CEO has suggested that he believes Twitter hasn't adhered to the principles of free speech, which he called imperative for a functioning democracy.
That's the latest feature story news. I'm Benji Hire in Washington.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, a look at Russia's invasion of Ukraine from the vantage point of the Baltic. After a weekend in which the EU, for the first time, decided to supply lethal weaponry to a country under attack, Germany committed to spending more than 2% of its GDP on defence, and Britain said it would support any private citizens who wanted to go to Ukraine and fight on Kiev's side, there are growing signs that Vladimir Putin has succeeded only in uniting the West. Riho Taras is the former chief of the defence staff in Estonia. He says NATO may enlarge even further as a direct consequence of Vladimir Putin's aggression.
I don't think he believes that West has shown the strength in the first hours of the combat. But today, even Germany has agreed on the weapon deliveries to the region. I think the best person to unify NATO and the Western world has been Putin himself by really pushing. And Sweden and Finland, there is a slight discussion, but they were really not applying for NATO. But I guess today the governments are really thinking that they should.
Less than a week after it began, it is already evident that Russia's murderous onslaught against Ukraine is changing the world order in ways that 7 days ago were unthinkable. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
A quick look back at the top stories from this week. The flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet has sunk after being damaged by an explosion on Wednesday. Ukraine insists its missiles hit the vessel. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced a deal with Rwanda to send asylum seekers thousands of kilometres to the East African country. And Elon Musk, the world's richest man, has offered to buy Twitter for more than $40 billion. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
This is The Onion Week in Review. A report released this week by the Brookings Institution found that the U.S. currently has enough chairs and that there is no urgent need to produce any new ones for the time being. Researchers confirmed through overwhelming evidence that there is absolutely no shortage of chairs, citing in their findings the sheer number of armchairs, folding chairs, bar stools, Adirondack chairs, swivel chairs, lazy boys, and rocking chairs already in existence.
Our research shows that even in a place where there seems not to be enough chairs, a quick investigation will find one or two chairs just over in the next room. Basically, as far as chairs go, I'd like to reiterate that we have a very good number of them and could just use those.
And in this week's local news, the guy in front of you is ordering for an entire construction crew. In other news, a local police department reduces costs by using the same evidence for every investigation. Voters are clamoring to hear if a female political candidate is a mother first, and a whitewater rafting trip in which a friend drowned is still pretty fun.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
And we're back.
Where did we go?
One man went to sleep and then woke up and did some stuff and then came back to work the next day.
He was one man. He had one desire.
Her name was...
Everything's like Inna, right? Oh. Like in a time. In a place.
In a land before time.
In a world. Right?
No, in a world, Jack. Oh, you got to adjust my levels.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we like you and everything, but you were just a little loud in my brain space.
I'm trying to be the new voice.
I think it's too much compression.
Too much compression.
Too much compression?
Manic compression. Oh, anybody a fan of a band called Quicksand? No? Okay. They had an album called Manic Compression that I thought was a neat title. Anyway, Captain's Log, Stardate 04172022. This is Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Lord Doctor, Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Hey, welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, yeah.
I expect to have some callers. If you wish to call and join us, the telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Phones are open right now.
I think I know who we're expecting.
Right now.
I'm expecting, outside of the usual suspects, expecting a couple of people to call. So we'll see if they follow through or if they chicken out or, Yeah.
Come on, Kahuna, call in.
Chickens!
Or, I don't want to say his, it's Sorcisto.
Oh, okay.
I believe may call. I don't know if that's the name he'll go by.
This is Encanto language, or whatever it's called. Esperanto.
I'm actually only saying part of it, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but
we don't talk about Esperanto.
But I do want to talk about this article from Jamie Redmond over at Bitcoin.com.
Oh.
So you guys remember the bailouts of 2008, right? When the
housing collapse.
Yeah, the market bubble and all that kind of stuff.
Prop up the housing.
And so too big to fail. That's where that was the phrase du jour that the government decided to use to say basically, we're going to rape you taxpayers to bail out these large corporations that really should be out of business.
But they're too big to fail.
And everybody just sort of laid down and took it.
Well, okay. Yes, they did. What would you have suggested the people do otherwise?
Eject.
Okay.
There are ways of sort of getting rid of the bad guys.
Okay.
You can look to history for examples of doing so. People, of course, could have gotten together and just figured out a way to discontinue paying these bastards. That would be the number one thing. If you cut off their method of collecting fundage. Now, of course, they could still go to their buddies at the Federal Reserve and go, hey, print us up a bunch of money. So it's almost a moot point at this point.
Odd that they can do that and yet still tax, right? That's one of those, everyone knows it's a thing.
Yeah.
But it's conspiratorial to talk about.
And in fact, somebody was telling me, and I haven't verified any of this, somebody's telling me that the amounts that the federal government collects in, say, income tax, for example, is only enough to maybe pay the interest payment on all of the money the government has borrowed from the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
So,
borrow more money to keep the thing going.
It's like, just pay your subscription fee and we'll print as much as you like.
More movies coming.
It's like the Federal Reserve is the Netflix
right.
of government monetary policy.
Right.
We
need more subscribers.
Yeah.
To keep the printing presses going.
So, following the controversial bank bailouts and troubled asset relief program, also known as TARP. In 2008, reports show in late 2019 and 2020, the U.S. Federal Reserve participated in providing trillions.
With a T?
With a T. Trillions of dollars in secret repo loans to mega banks. At the end of March, investigative journalists Pam and Russ Martins from Wall Street on Parade uncovered $3.84 trillion in stealth repo loans.
This is 14 years later. This is like last March, 14 years after the bailouts. The crack investigative team has found some things.
Just wait.
Okay.
$3.84 trillion in stealth repo loans from the Fed to French financial institution BNP in Q1 of 2020. Additional data indicates that the U.S. central bank leveraged secret repo loans to provide a whopping $48 trillion to mega banks in late 2019 and into 2020, just as the COVID and the lockdowns were on setting.
What would you do at $48 trillion?
$48
trillion. Trillions?
This is in addition to
Buy
all like
both of Jeff Bezos' yachts.
this is in addition to all of the trillions of dollars that they've printed up.
Right.
Right. You know, in their quantitative easing and, you know, whatever other BS terminology they're using. Reports show the Fed funneled tens of trillions to megabanks in 2019 and 2020, while Wall Street eagerly awaits the Federal Reserve's next benchmark rate hike decision.
Ooh.
A number of investigative reports show the U.S. Central Bank participated in massive bank bailouts that are of biblical proportions.
Oh.
The first report stems from Wall Street on Parade's Pam and Russ Martins, which accuses the Fed. We talked about this $3.84 trillion already. The Martins findings highlight many more secret loans that come from a data dump derived from the New York Federal Reserve Branch. The data dump showcases secret repo loans from the Fed megabanks from September 17, 2019 to July 2nd, 2020. The Wall Street on Parade authors say the media has not reported on the data dump at all.
Of course not.
Why would they?
They have a chart here that I'm not going to bother describing.
It's got lines on it, some numbers.
It does, and some labels. It goes this way and that way.
It just keeps going up and up and up.
Mainstream media has heretofore instituted a news blackout on the names of the banks that received the repo loan bailouts and the Fed's data releases, the Martins exposed details. As of 4 p.m. today, and this was a couple of days ago now, we see no other news reports on this critical information that the American people need to see. The author said on March 31st, 2022. As of today, April 13th, 2022, there are no mainstream media outlets that have covered this news after Bitcoin.com searched for more information. Pam and Russ Martin's findings are scathing. The data dump's numbers almost seem unfathomable. The report states, quote, the Fed data released this morning shows that the trading units of 6 global banks received $17.66 trillion of the $28.6 trillion in term-adjusted cumulative loans, or 63% of the total for all 25 trading houses that borrowed through the Fed's repo loan program in the first quarter of 2020.
So this could just be me projecting a little bit.
Sure.
So forgive my ignorance. But sometimes when I hear those numbers, they're so large for me to conceptualize.
Yeah, me too.
That there's nothing I can do with that information.
Yeah, where did they get all that money?
Like, even if you could answer that, like, what difference does it make to me?
They pulled
like my average every day-to-day life.
Well, what it means is that additional inflation, right? The common folk out there going, oh, Putin's price increase. Well, Putin has nothing to do, literally nothing to do with the price increases on your store shelves.
Right, but the common folk, they see the price go up and they go, gosh darn, guess I'm broke still, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they go like, well, it's because they're printing $48 trillion and giving it to the big banks.
Well, and of course,
so what?
As much as this $48 trillion is unfathomable to conceptualize, you have to add it to the additional 30 or so trillion in the last year and the year before that. So, like, it's just a further illustration of the dilution of the value of the dollar.
Sure.
So what that means, of course, the value to you or to anybody who can't fathom these numbers is just that it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Inflation is here. You're already poor. Everything's getting more expensive. Well, it's going to escalate.
Yeah. I hear it with the national debt too. Like whatever how many dozens of trillions of dollars that is. I go, and what? It's not like it's ever going to be paid off. It's an irrelevant number to most people.
Yeah, I like this music that you're playing.
603-283-6160. Yeah, I made it myself.
Yeah, it's great.
I didn't. This is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Brute force intransigent defiance, adamantine will. These are the hallmarks of the AI tank. These gigantic machines have the firepower of an army, but they also have their own sense of honor and duty. When the world breakers arrive, battle will be joined, planets will shake, and war and peace will never be the same again. World Breakers. Stories from David Weber, Larry Correia, and more. Available August 3rd from BaneBooks.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to MyMagicMud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. MyMagicMud.com, FTL20.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Right before the music kicks in, if you're talking and I have the headphones on, I totally can't hear you at all.
I was like running the bit through my head and trying to decide whether or not it was to use it on air as we came back or whether it was going to be too objectionable in some former content.
Well, and since we're already back, I guess it's too late this time.
It could be. Or I could like say the bit and you could tell me.
No,
I don't want to
save
get
the bit.
We could wait until another time that we come back.
No, when we go to break. Save the bit for when we're going to break.
I don't want to do it on air until I get approval first.
All right.
Because it could be offensive to some people.
All right, Steve, you'll be the approval guy.
Okay.
All right. So if I say it, he's approved it.
I've just delegated it.
I approve this message.
I have the dump button, so I can override.
Well, it's not that objectionable. It's not like
it's coming from you. I don't know, man.
I have never been dumped on this show.
I don't think the FCC would object to anything that Rich was going to say.
You've never been dumped yet.
That is true.
On this show.
Up until this point.
What about other shows?
No, I don't think so. I've only called into this show. I'm not like.
Hey, speaking of calling in, you can call in right now.
At?
Call the terrorist hotline, 603-283-6160.
Hey, you
got to repeat it, though. I'll say it twice.
603-283-6160 if you would like to join us. In the studio tonight here at Free Talk Live, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
We're talking about this article from Bitcoin.com about these repo loans, these stealth bailouts that no other media, at least mainstream media, is talking about except for the folks over at Bitcoin.com. This particular article penned by Jamie Redmond. To the tune of $48 trillion.
Whatever that means.
With a T.
It's a lot of money. That's what it means.
It's a lot of money. You show me one of those graphs where it's like the size of the Empire State Building with $100 bills, and this little man scale down there, like, this is what $48 trillion looks like. I go like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, so
impossible.
My stuff's going to get more expensive at the grocery store. That's
right.
like the bottom line.
Point number one is they've given out these loans, these bailout loans, is the closest thing they can be compared to, like the 2008 Too Big to Fail when they did all that, right? Except this $48 trillion exceeds that amount of money.
Significantly.
So if you were at all upset with the fact that the government decided to bail out these too big to fail companies, you should be as upset, if not more, that it has done it again, and even more money this time, and apparently there's a media blackout.
No, I think it's Putin's price hike, isn't it?
Poontang did not have anything to do with this. Okay. Vladimir Poontang. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Easy scapegoat.
Yeah.
Pootie Tang?
The Economist explains that the bailouts were supposed to be stopped by the Dodd-Frank Act, but U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen helped change that. Well, what happened apparently was that while the Dodd-Frank Act was being rewritten by Congress, Janet Yellen changed the wording around and said, well, how do we define a general liquidity crisis? Hudson told Martins during a phone interview, well, it doesn't mean that what you and I mean by a liquidity crisis, meaning the whole economy is illiquid, Hudson added. The professor of economics at the University of Missouri, Kansas City continued, Dodd-Frank was supposed to say, okay, we're not going to let banks have their trading facilities, the gambling facilities on derivatives, and just placing bets on the financial markets. We're not supposed to help the banks out of these problems at all. So I think the reason that the newspapers are going quiet on this is the Fed broke the law, and it wants to continue breaking the law.
Oh, no, they broke the law.
Breaking the law.
I know. It's only illegal when you or I do it.
Right.
Right. When government does it.
Well, what sort of penalty are they going to face?
Yeah.
They bailed out their buddies with trillions upon trillions, dozens of trillions of dollars.
Yep.
And nothing will ever come of it.
No, I know.
Even if the media, the mainstream media, like was reporting it, what's the solution? What are we supposed to do about it? Like how is the people supposed to hold them accountable for this nonsense? It's not going to happen.
Well, that's a good question, Richie Rich. How are the people supposed to hold these people accountable?
Well, you can beat them at their own game, right? Like you were saying, that if you become one of the lobbyists, or a collective, or a collective group becomes part of a lobbyist organization. I don't know.
Okay, I don't
think that'll probably never work. That'll probably never work. We're not corrupt enough. We're too honest.
So how do these people get held accountable, Richie Rich?
I don't know. I'll throw out the question. I don't have an answer. From an individual perspective, right? The only thing I can think of on the nonviolent side of things, right, is you have to stop using their money.
Yes.
And prior to crypto, prior to Bitcoin and all that other stuff, right? I tell people, like, get out of Federal Reserve notes, stop using dollars.
Yes.
Like, what you have to do with your dollars is immediately convert it to something of higher value. And I would have coworkers go like, well, I need it for food and gas. And I go like, that's higher value, right? But whatever's left over, buy something else with it.
Right.
Right. Like, maybe not spend it, but gold, silver, whatever you can afford.
Yep.
Like, you have to get out of that system somehow.
Well, you could buy food. I mean, food in my freezer is an appreciating asset right now.
It is. It's true.
Right.
If I bought chicken at 79 cents a pound, it's $1.79.
Yeah.
It's gone up. Making money.
And I've been looking on Craigslist regularly for like for a chest freezer.
Yeah. They've been few and far between. I'm also looking for a chest freezer. I have a very small area, and I need a very specific size. But I keep finding ones that are way too big or way too small.
Okay.
So I'll ping you if I find one. And
please do.
But they haven't been. I keep bumping into ones that are like the commercial ones, like the roll top freezer,
72 cubic feet.
No, like the roll top at the convenience store for keeping the ice cream cones in, that kind of thing. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have a good humor freezer in my kitchen
because, like you said, like I'm in a small apartment and I don't have a lot of fridge space or space as it is, but I realize that dollars are going nowhere and food prices are going up.
Right.
So I'm trying to get as much,
right. You either
non-perishables as I can.
If you cook it and dehydrate it, maybe that could be a way to do it. Could be. Store it that way.
There's a lot of good solutions on stuff like that. But in general, that's not holding them accountable.
But if you find a local farmer who may take cash or crypto or gold backs to get into like a CSA or some type of thing, like, I'm going to buy 10 chickens over the next
The easier thing to do, of course, is to find a community that's already making these types of maneuvers. They're already exchanging in alternate currencies, whether it's gold, silver, gold backs, for example, cryptocurrency, that type of thing. If you are of a freedom mind and you want to take steps to insulate yourself from what is coming, because this next bit talks about how the Federal Reserve members are split on whether or not U.S. inflation will be persistent.
As long as they print the money, it's going to be persistent.
How can you be split on this? Like, if you think it's not going to be persistent, you're a moron. And if you think it's going to be persistent, well, you're probably spot on. Because not only is it going to be persistent, it's going to escalate.
The only thing that curbs that a little bit is the shrinkflation or the technological advances that bring prices down and pressure up against it.
Only when allowed. By the government, right? So we see that with electronics like television, for example.
That's the easy example,
totally cheap.
Tesla batteries, are they full of diesel fuel?
603-283-6160. We'll talk about that and more here on Free Talk Live. It's the Sunday night edition.
Free Talk Live's video archives have been on LBRY for years. LBRY is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of it here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, LBRY launched Odysee, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off, now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odysee started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odysee. You can watch live or anytime on our Odysee channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, download the desktop app at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. At minimum, we ask you visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odysee today. video.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Russia has claimed it's taken part of the city and warned the last remaining Ukrainian troops that they would be eliminated if they did not give up the fight. Officials in Mariupol say Russian forces are preparing to restrict access to the city in the next few days. Moscow has bombarded the strategically crucial southern port for around 2 months and is expected to step up its assault in the eastern Donbas region. But Ukrainian authorities say they are prepared to continue fighting in Mariupol and in the east. In an interview with CNN's State of the Union, Ukraine's president says his country will not give up its territory to end the conflict. Volodymyr Zelensky also told the programme that a visit by the President of the United States would send a strong message of support.
I think he will, but it's his decision, of course, about the safety situation.
The White House said last week Mr. Biden was not scheduled to visit Ukraine, but the president told reporters his team was making a final decision on sending a senior official. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. 2 teenage boys were killed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Sunday after gunfire broke out at a house party in a short-term rental. And in South Carolina, shots were fired in a lounge just hours after a separate incident in a mall in the state capital, Columbia. More than 30 people were injured in all 3 shootings, and police have arrested 1 man in connection with the Columbia Mall incident. The succession of shootings, some of them high-profile, such as the one on a Brooklyn subway last week, have once again pushed the thorny issue of gun control back into the spotlight here in the United States. North Korea has testified a new tactical weapon according to its state media. The Korean Central News Agency released a photo of the country's leader Kim Jong-un smiling and clapping at what it said was the launch of the new weapon, which has great significance in drastically improving the firepower of the frontline long-range artillery units. Military officials in Seoul confirmed Pyongyang fired 2 missiles on Saturday night, which flew about 110 kilometers at an altitude of 23 kilometers. Experts say the timing of the test could be significant as it came just before South Korea and the United States start their annual joint military drills. North Korea has previously condemned these exercises, accusing the United States of a hostile intent. Pyongyang has already conducted an unprecedented number of weapons tests this year, which analysts warn could be the lead-up to a possible nuclear test. From bureaus worldwide, this is FS.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
And just because you're racist doesn't mean people won't be offended, okay?
I'm sorry. I thought it would be fun. That's all.
We're back.
We're back. Oh, my goodness.
This is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the telephone number, I believe. Yes, it is. 603-283-6160. We've got, we'll get to your calls in just a moment. In the studio, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Now, what were you going to say about Elon?
What I wanted to know is because, like, he's South African.
Yeah.
He's an African.
Okay.
But he's a white African.
Okay.
So is he African?
He's American.
And is he even American?
Is he even a citizen?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
He all the talk about him being president seems moot in my point, because he's not qualified.
I'm so tired of everybody talking about Musk.
African Americans.
Muskie.
Like, oh my gosh, man. Like,
he took over the troll responsibilities from Donald Trump while Biden's in office.
It's this whole like celebrity worship thing where like everybody's looking for their savior, and so the savior du jour is now Elon.
Right.
Elon.
So I was talking to a friend about this on the podcast. He is a fan of Elon, and his words not mine, or his thoughts not mine, is whatever Elon's doing, like all the companies that he founded, all the startups all the projects that he's into, right? He is doing because he thinks it's the right thing to do, and that it's what's going to move humanity as a whole forward.
Do you think he thinks that, though, or is he just trying to like make more money? Like, he's a brilliant marketer, right? And he always has been. That's why he's been as successful as he has. So, like, to me, all he's doing is more marketing.
How much more money does he need?
Well, how much money does anybody need?
It's none of your business.
It's none of you're right. It's none of my business. But my point is that at some point, right? Like, what I'm saying is, if I had as much money as Elon, you wouldn't even know I existed.
You'd be trolling the internet too.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I'd disappear.
You'd be bored.
I'm gone.
You'd be bored.
You would be talking about me in the past tense, like, whatever happened to Richie Rich? Because you would never hear from me again.
Well, we'd know he would no longer go by two of the same name.
Maybe. But what that boredom leads to, if you're calling it boredom, right? Like, he has enough money to buy anything, do whatever he wants. So the only thing left is like power and control, possibly.
You're overlooking the one thing that he loves.
One thing.
Attention.
Fame.
Right. Sure.
Right? So he's obviously a fame junkie.
But he's got it.
Yes. And he aims to keep it.
Sure.
And if it only cost him like $40 billion, what
just
like
do?
A pittance to like this Twitter thing is a pittance to
right.
him. Like
just
if you flipped a quarter and it like hit the ground.
Right. I'll come up with $10,000. Okay. Well,
just like every other celebrity, right? Every now and again, the successful ones, every now and again, they sort of reinvent themselves, right?
Okay.
So this is his latest reinvention of himself to keep himself in the news, to keep himself relevant in social media and amongst the masses, to keep people talking about him, because that's what makes him feel good and makes him worth something.
Okay.
His previous one...
But it's not about the money.
His previous one was about going to space, right?
Well, again, but that moves humanity forward. We talked about the asteroids last week.
It moves
right? You think NASA's going to get us to another planet? It's going to be a private company, potentially SpaceX.
I'm not saying that won't be the case, but what I'm saying is that's how he reinvented himself the last time.
Okay.
So he's just doing it again in another way, and everybody's all, oh yeah, everybody's just blowing him, and I'm like, what is so awesome about this guy that makes you want to blow him all the time?
Well, okay, but again, think about what he's come up with, right? The solar panels, the solar car, SpaceX, PayPal, which was a big deal before crypto, right? These were all like valuable things to the general public.
Yeah, cool.
Right, but trading carbon credits to get money for Tesla is not really good for the humanity. Because that's how Tesla makes a lot of money, by trading carbon credits.
All right. Let's stop talking about
Captain
Musk.
continues.
Let's go to the phones and talk to Big Kahuna calling from Florida. Mr. Kahuna, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, we'll just call him Big.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi.
Hey.
What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, so I want to talk about incompetence tonight.
Well, you called the right time.
Luckily for you, all three of us are here.
What's for dinner?
Yeah, what's for dinner. Yeah. So anyway, what brought it to a head was I had, without going into the details too much, I had multiple things in my life, and I guess these are all sort of first world problems, if you will. But plumbing, my car, cell phone, insurance, these were all, I'll call them situations that happened recently and these were all voluntary contracts. I entered voluntarily with the company that's providing service. They obviously took me on voluntarily, and just not performing, as contracted. And one of them was, I guess the one example quickly was, plumbing. I had a couple new toilets installed. It took them 4 tries. 4 different dudes came out. Thing was leaking all over the place, and that's what happened. And there was really no apology, if you will. It took actually 2 months to actually schedule the thing to get the guy to come out.
Yeah,
because of COVID, right? They're short-staffed and all this.
Yep.
And I just see this more and more. So I'm just very frustrated with it. I'm trying to figure out, how we move forward as a society if this is sort of the norm.
Well, part of the thing I'm hypothesizing here, because I too have bumped into a decrease in good customer service.
Same.
From many providers of many, many different things, to a point that it is frustrating me more so than it probably should be. And my theory is that it's because of the fact that there's more jobs available, that it's more difficult to get quality help.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's my theory.
When I made the move to New Hampshire from Hawaii, we noticed a significant decrease in customer service quality. And it happened so often in so many places that I have dubbed it a culture of mediocrity. Right?
Yeah.
And it persists because as people grow up in this culture, like the natives here, right, they don't expect anything better. And so they've accepted this level of mediocrity as the norm. And then it gets worse because the kids grow up in it and they go get that first job and they're used to terrible service. So they provide terrible service. And that's how it persists. But there needs to be an example set of excellence and urgency, right? That people go like, wow, that's how it's supposed to be done. And then move, how you move the culture in that direction is get more people to do that.
Classic?
If you have something that's broken and you try to fix it yourself, you can't make it any worse. right? Like if there's something wrong with your washing machine and you find a YouTube video, like I'm going to try to figure out how to do this by a YouTube video, you can do that. And if you screw it up anymore, it's like, well, it's already broken. You have nothing to lose. So you could try doing things yourself.
My watch was running 5 minutes slow. Now I don't have a watch.
Kahuna?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and I agree with you guys. It's just, it's, and I don't expect perfection. Look, I mean,
you should.
I'm a service
You absolutely
provider.
should. Like that should be the standard.
Well, you're right.
You have to push them in that direction.
That should be the standard, but we live in the real world, so things happen. But this is really pervasive now, and what really bothers me is, sort of the attitude towards it. It's just like, I'd say one of those 4 examples, the company made it right, but the other 3 really, it was like, because of COVID, blah blah blah, or really no apology, and that's really probably the most disturbing thing.
I once harassed a company. I once harassed a company on Kickstarter for a year to get them to make things right.
On Kickstarter?
Yeah. I ordered from Kickstarter. They canceled my order because I left a bad review for them. And then every time they posted a new Kickstarter, I'd kickstart $1 just so I could leave a comment. And I would say, this company's a scam. Email me at companyscam@gmail.com. And until they made it right.
Kahuna, you want to hang on?
Sure.
All right, stand by.
Is Elon Musk buying Facebook?
Is he? 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up, where one leg is both the same.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
We are back. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. We are a live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. I am your host tonight, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
We're going to go back to the Big Kahuna, who is calling us from Florida. We're talking about the decline of good customer service, or even, in my opinion, incompetent customer service.
No.
The culture of mediocrity.
Mediocrity.
Yeah. I believe Big Kahuna's original comment when I screened him was just he's bumping into incompetence all over the place.
Yeah.
And I am too. So
I'm sorry. I'm only here on Sundays. Touche.
Yes, touche. So, Big Kahuna, where else are you bumping into incompetence? You had mentioned, you had some plumbers come in and do some, install some toilets. Where else are you bumping into this?
Well, just a couple days ago, I ordered a pizza from, a well-known company, without naming it.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things where there's an app and you get a notification of it's been delivered. And I have to say that this company has in the past performed very well, and I've never had an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, I get the notification, and I go out to the front door, and it's not there. And I kind of look around, and okay, so I call right.
Yeah.
And I get presumably the manager, and he said, "Let me talk to the driver." So. Comes back and he says, driver says that your screen door was locked, so he left it outside. So it should be on the sidewalk. So I go out there, it's not there, and so I call back and say it's not there. And he said, well, I don't know what to tell you. And I said, okay, well, please provide me with a refund since you didn't deliver it. I don't see it anywhere.
But I'm starving.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I did. I had to leave. I said, by the time you guys get out here, it's gonna be like another 45 minutes, an hour, and I have to go somewhere. So, long story short, one of my neighbors, a couple hours later, knocks on my door and says, "Oh, this is somebody like 4 or 5 houses down the street. So not like next door or anything." Said, I think your pizza got delivered here, and like the ants got to it. There was ants all over the place.
Yummy.
They did leave it on the sidewalk. The guy wasn't lying.
They did.
It should be on the sidewalk somewhere, he said. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So that's just another, and that just happened. That was like a week after all this other stuff.
Right. I had a similar incident with Walmart. Like, to get a $3 curtain rod delivered to my job took 2 weeks, multiple attempts, but because I was persistent in harassing like the delivery office, right? I had the direct line because they called me back, so I wrote it down. Like, caller ID, I'm not calling the Walmart helpline anymore. I'm calling directly to this phone that rings in their general area.
But you want to call the legal department at Walmart.
But
maybe
like I was gifted $30-$40 in gift cards.
Wow.
Right. And finally was handed like this $3 curtain rod.
That's an appreciating asset.
Sure. But it was because I was persistent. Most people aren't going to go through that much trouble for a $3 curtain rod, because I could have driven out to Walmart, grabbed it off the rack, and been done with it.
Right, yeah.
Right, but no, I shouldn't have to do that. They were supposed to deliver it.
I've bumped into incompetence, poor customer service with several things recently. And I've done to solve my problems, I've done the one thing that you can do in a market situation, which is change providers. Yep. For example, not happy with my cell phone provider, haven't been for quite some time. They continuously bill me wrong. I have a hard time getting it corrected. When they do correct it, they apologize and they get it corrected, but I still have to waste a bunch of my time calling and, stating my case, providing evidence that they have readily at hand that they can look up far easier than I can. So that was with cell phone, and then also my cable provider. The only reason that I had a cable provider at all was for internet, and I had this particular company because they were the only one available in the area that I live. Well, finally, another company who provides fiber has come around to my neighborhood, and so I switched over finally and got rid of the other company, and I've never been happier to give this particular cable company the bird, if you will. It's been a long time coming, and they more than earned the bird. They earned the double bird. So, but that's what you could do in a market situation is you have the ability to say, with your pizza deal, for example, Mr. Kahuna, don't order from them anymore if it's gotten you gotten your undies in a bunch enough to where you're like, screw these guys. But you can't do that with government, of course. So when the government screws you over, particularly when it comes to, inflation, for example, or taxation, for example, you can't just say, hey, you know what? I'm going with another provider because they provide better services at a lower cost.
You can move to a better location that has a different governing body, right? That's part of the impetus for the Free State Project or any number of the Move Here projects.
Right, which I have done.
Right.
So in that respect, yes, I have taken that measure, but I can't be without government at all. I can't be allowed to govern myself anywhere on planet Earth.
Who's going to pave the roads?
Well, the pizza company, of course.
Domino's. They've already started.
Yeah.
Right. They're filling in the potholes.
Hey, Big Kahuna, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. I
don't mind calling out the names of the companies that provide me bad service.
Yeah, me neither. I actually want to call out Uphold.
Okay.
They are a cryptocurrency company that they've got their fingers in a bunch of different crypto pies, whether it's exchanges, whether it's buying and selling cryptocurrency. They've got some loan products. They've got the reason that I chose to do business with them was because they have what's known as a cryptocurrency debit card. And what you can do is you can upload some cryptocurrency to your Uphold account, and then you can use their MasterCard debit card to make purchases, and they automatically do the conversion for you. And it was great, so I thought, until I realized that a particular thing that they were doing was putting a temporary hold, which isn't uncommon. All debit cards work this way. Like if you're getting gas or something.
Yep.
Gas at the pump, you put your card in, it puts a temporary hold. In this case, it's $100, right? Because gas price is high now, so they got to hold $100.
Well, even when gas prices were lower,
it was like $65 or something like that.
The station I worked at was $150.
It depends on what kind of station too. If you got diesel and you got semis coming. Anyway, my point is that they put a temporary hold of $100 on my card, and then I get gas. And let's say I get $50 worth of gas.
Yeah.
When I hang up the pump, it should go, oh, okay, here's $50 back. Yeah. Well, the app never showed that. And so I opened a ticket with these guys. This is it's probably almost 8 months ago. I opened a ticket with these guys and I go, hey, here's what's happening. There used to be an area where it showed how much of the cryptocurrency they took out of your account and how much they put back. And if you were Johnny on the spot and did the calculation right there at the spot price of whatever cryptocurrency you used, you could make sure that they weren't stealing from you. So I open a ticket and I'm like, hey, I'm pretty sure it's just a bug. You need to just display the final dollar figure. So when you put the hold on my gas purchase, when I hang up the pump, you're not displaying that final dollar figure so that I go, oh, look, that's the correct figure. It matches the receipt. And so they're like, okay, we'll work on it, blah, blah, blah. I checked in a couple of times over a month or so, and they're like, yeah, it's been escalated. We hope to have it fixed in a release sometime or whatever. 6 months or so goes by, and I was getting gas, and I noticed that my app notified me that the whole entire hold amount was being held, and that's all it ever showed for the charge. And I decided to sort of check up on it. Well, I drilled down on it. Instead of fixing it to where they display the amount taken out and the amount put back, they just eliminated that whole area. So now they're actually taking the full $100 every time I get $50 worth of gas.
And you can't see it.
And I can't see it.
And they're probably making money on your money.
So I go ahead and I reopen this ticket because, time has gone by. Maybe they notified QA or something, but the ticket itself had been closed. I just reply to all on the ticket so that it reopens it. I attach the new evidence to it. I have to bicker and complain and sort of become a Karen, if you will, to get past tier 1 support to somebody who understands what the heck I'm talking about and the history of the ticket itself. Finally, I get to somebody, and they're like, oh, there's something going on. We have to do a review of your account. I'm like, okay. In my estimation, I guessed that I was missing a couple $100. Nope. Well over $1,000.
Wow.
Well over $1,000, and they still haven't fixed the problem. So
but you got your money back.
They refunded the money. They temporarily locked up my funds because I had opened a ticket about that, and while they're investigating, they locked my funds, so I couldn't get back at it. I eventually got my funds out, and I've given up Hold the Bird. I'm no longer doing business with them.
Should you buy gasoline on a credit card?
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is next.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Russia has claimed it's taken part of the city and warned the last remaining Ukrainian troops that they would be eliminated if they did not give up the fight. Officials in Mariupol say Russian forces are preparing to restrict access to the city in the next few days. Moscow has bombarded the strategically crucial southern port for around 2 months and is expected to step up its assault in the eastern Donbas region. But Ukrainian authorities say they are prepared to continue fighting in Mariupol and in the east. In an interview with CNN State of the Union, Ukraine's president says his country will not give up its territory to end the conflict. Volodymyr Zelensky also told the programme that a visit by the President of the United States would send a strong message of support.
I think he will, but it's his decision, of course, about the safety situation.
The White House said last week Mr. Biden was not scheduled to visit Ukraine, but the president told reporters his team was making a final decision on sending a senior official. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. 2 teenage boys were killed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Sunday after gunfire broke out at a house party in a short-term rental. And in South Carolina, shots were fired in a lounge just hours after a separate incident in a mall in the state capital, Columbia. More than 30 people were injured in all 3 shootings, and police have arrested 1 man in connection with the Columbia Mall incident. The succession of shootings, some of them high-profile, such as the one on a Brooklyn subway last week, have once again pushed the thorny issue of gun control back into the spotlight here in the United States. North Korea has testified a new tactical weapon according to its state media. The Korean Central News Agency released a photo of the country's leader Kim Jong-un smiling and clapping at what it said was the launch of the new weapon, which has great significance in drastically improving the firepower of the frontline long-range artillery units. Military officials in Seoul confirmed Pyongyang fired 2 missiles on Saturday night, which flew about 110 kilometres at an altitude of 23 kilometres. Experts say the timing of the test could be significant as it came just before South Korea and the United States start their annual joint military drills. North Korea has previously condemned these exercises, accusing the United States of a hostile intent. Pyongyang has already conducted an unprecedented number of weapons tests this year, which analysts warn could be the lead-up to a possible nuclear test. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. The stage is set in Washington for the annual spring meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, an event that is partly in-person this year, partly virtual, and will also see a G20 finance ministers meeting taking place on its fringes. The spring meetings traditionally set the stage for the world's fiscal prospects in the year ahead. And as you might imagine, with the world still dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and now also the crisis in Ukraine, the backdrop for the meetings is pretty grim. Jim Lindsay is with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations.
The focal point of the meetings is supposed to be the World Bank report and an impending IMF report looking forward at the world. Basically, the headline there is buckle up, expect a lot of turbulence. What's going to be hanging over all of the conversations is the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the repercussions it has. The U.S. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen has said that the U.S. may boycott certain meetings if Russian officials show up. And the G20 has already signaled that there won't be the typical communique at the end of the meeting because of the divisions over Russia.
One issue to watch, how the meetings deal with growing anxiety over international debt. Sri Lanka is already defaulting, and more than 60% of the world's lowest income countries are facing the possibility of debt distress. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the southern port city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. And North Korea has testified a new tactical weapon, according to its state media. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
Officials for the Centers for Disease Contraction and Preservation held a press conference urging all Americans to suck on as many doorknobs as possible.
This flu season, the Center for Disease Contraction is recommending that all Americans, regardless of age or health condition, find a doorknob in a high-traffic area, wrap their mouths around it, and vigorously lick and suck it until they contract an illness. We recommend sucking doorknobs covered in a visible film of human hand grease. But the fact is, sucking on any doorknob can increase the likelihood likelihood of exposing yourself and your family to deadly pathogens by as much as 450%.
An instructional video released on the CDC's website showcases the proper method for sucking doorknobs while also providing tips for projecting all sneezes and coughs outward, sharing used Kleenexes and toilet paper with as many people as possible, eating 3 meals a day from local garbage cans, and dozens of other easy bacteria-spreading activities.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
And we're back.
That's right, Richie Rich. We are back. And I'm glad to be back here at Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We've got some calls on hold. We'll get to those momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Rich.
Nice. You've been working on that one, Steve.
Practice throughout the whole break.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Classic.
More Free Talk Live.
We'll get to your calls in just a moment. I do need to tell you that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page, and when you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this important and world-changing information. If you're already knowledgeable about crypto, you can check out news.bitcoin.com to get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com. All right.
Bitcoin.com.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Let's go with Robert in South Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say that, I've lived about half my life here and the other half in Germany, and I've worked actually half in each country. And I was just thinking to myself, I've been able in a unique situation where I can compare two of the most successful countries of the world. The only one I can't compare it with is Japan, but one of my best friends lived in Japan.
Well, hang on. What do you mean by successful?
Well, I mean, Germany and the United States per capita have very high incomes. I think Germany, I would say, has probably the highest.
Okay, so we're talking economics. Okay, got it. Go ahead. Continue.
Exactly.
World domination.
And, okay.
I was thinking empire builders, but,
No, actually, you know what it is, and I know what it is. I mean, the GNP per capita. But in any case, so I was just thinking that in Germany, you feel more secure because you know that if worst comes to worst, the government will be there to pick you up. Over here, it's not as secure. For example, if you let's say you're 50 years old and you lose your job because the company that you're with goes broke, what they were producing doesn't sell anymore, or something like that. Well, what they will do is that they will retrain you at government expense.
At taxpayer expense.
First. Yeah, if you want to do it yourself, fine. But they will make sure that you get back to work because, first of all, they will not let you suffer forever. And the other thing is that they will make sure that you're secure and that you're earning something. And if you don't have a job, they will re-educate you. And if you want to go to the university and you don't have an
German re-education facility,
they will send you to school for free. You can study anything you want.
They won't send you to school for free. They'll send you to school at taxpayer expense.
Well, yeah, exactly. And in the SPD state, you can go to school free. The only exception to that is
no, you go to school at taxpayer expense.
Oh yeah, okay, exactly.
Nothing is ever free when it comes to government. Nothing is ever free when it comes to government.
I hate the smugness of people from those countries. They're like, I would gladly pay more if it means my countrymen were taken care of.
Right.
Well, in Germany, they pay a very heavy price for that service. The taxes are sky high, but the Germans are ready, willing, and able to pay for that. And the reason is, first of all, they earn a lot of money, and second of all, Germans have a very strong sense of order and responsibility. They take it personally. If something goes wrong in their organization, they take it personally. I mean,
Robert, do you live in Germany right now?
South Carolina.
I live in South Carolina right now.
Well, I'm just saying, it sounds like you're a big fanboy of Germany. I'm just curious why you don't live there anymore.
It's been suggested.
Well, I came here to look after my mom, and she died 3 years ago, and I haven't managed to get myself back there yet.
Are you going to go?
Reach out to the German government. I'm sure they can relocate you as well.
Yeah, it sounds like
absolutely.
It sounds like they'll be there for you, and they'll pay your relocation expenses and all that kind of thing.
They would do that. If I were to go to ask them to do that, and if I didn't have the money to do it, they would absolutely do that. There's no question. And if my life were in danger, there's even something called Gesetz zur unterlassene Hilfeleistung, which means that I studied law there, by the way. And that means that
I have to ask.
Yes.
How come you haven't been able to make your way back there?
3 years.
Well, because you know what happens after 17 years. I've been here 17 years now. You know, it's not easy to just pick up and leave everything that all the connections that you have here.
If all you got to do is call some movers and pack some boxes, and they're going to pay for it for you, I don't understand why you're not there.
Because I'm a pack rat, that's why. Because you should see my place. I need a whole airplane to get out of here with my stuff. So I have to sell it off.
All right, hey Robert, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Lufthansa Airlines.
Not really sure what that was about.
Einstersende Neubauten.
I guess he just really likes Germany.
Yeah. No, he does.
Also, he said that in Germany you feel more secure. Like you can't measure feelings.
Yeah.
They wear more masks.
That's not a government statistic, Like
I feel better.
Yeah.
I like my government.
He definitely likes his government.
But it's the smugness of those places, right? Like why don't you Americans care enough about each other to pay higher taxes so that everyone's taken care of?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll gladly pay 40% of my income if it means that little Timmy can
only
get a heart
40.
transplant.
Come on, how about 60?
But that's not what it means. You and I know this.
We know this.
We know this.
But that's the way they pitch it.
Yeah. Many people
just
don't
a little
know.
bit more. Just a little bit more.
That's when you're taxed. The first thing that happens is the people who collect the taxes take a giant chunk for themselves.
Just skim off the top. Just a little.
It's operating fees.
Then they have to pay for the quote-unquote administration of whatever it is, whatever department of whatever that they're going to do. So they have to hire a bunch of people to supposedly process whatever it is they're trying to do. And so then that goes to pay for that. And then, of course, having to pay for that is their justification for continual renewal of that. And then maybe somewhere on down the line, a little bit of it goes to whatever it was actually intended for. Whereas if you cut out all of the middlemen and just go ahead and directly help people yourself, it's far more effective.
Well, and I think that's a problem with the American example as well, is when people are talking about it or looking at it, right? They assume that the Americans are using like the free market system. And they go like, look at the results of this free market American system and how terrible it is. And that's why we need to move to single payer healthcare or whatever. But they don't understand that the American system is fraught with problems as well, just different.
Yeah, it is not a free market system.
Right.
In any way, shape, or form. It is a very controlled, heavily regulated market. Right. With one organization specifically claiming monopolies on whole entire industries. We're talking about the industries of protection. We're talking about the industries of defense. We're talking about the industries of currency and finance. These guys claim monopolies on all of that. And so there is no free market. It does not exist. It's a very controlled market. It might be a more free market than some markets.
Right.
But it is almost identical to every other state-based market.
Right. But the young American gets their first hospital bill, right? And it's in excess of their annual income.
Right.
Where they go like, well, this is wrong. This needs to be free for everybody.
Right.
So that it can be free for me too.
Right.
But then who pays for it?
Right.
Right?
Everybody
Taxpayers.
pays for it.
Everybody pays for it.
Everybody pays.
But everybody should, right? Like we should
we all pay in. We'll all chip in. Yeah.
And so that their bills marginally gets reduced.
And of course, what I would say to anybody who thinks like that is, first of all, if you would just take all of the government out of healthcare, it's going to be affordable.
Way cheaper.
Should be.
Yeah. Also, the incentive dichotomy. No, that's the wrong word. The incentives will reverse right, to their correct form. That is to say that currently, pharmaceutical companies, for example, are incentivized to create long-term customers who are basically subscribers to their product. Whereas in an actual free market, healthcare providers would be incentivized to cure things.
Aspirin, should it be $600 a pill?
More Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
When Monster Hunter International discovers one of Isaac Newton's wardstones being auctioned off, they decide to steal it and use it to destroy the Chaos God once and for all. But a mysterious thief upends their plan, and it soon becomes a race against time as something much older and infinitely more evil awakens in the jungles of South America. Monster Hunter Bloodlines by New York Times bestselling author Larry Correia and Baen Books. Visit monsterhunternation.com for more.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number here, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Before we get back to your calls, I want to tell you that Free Talk Live's video archives have been on Library for years. What is Library? It's an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of that here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, Library launched Odyssey, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it is really taking off now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch live or anytime on our Odyssey channel just by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, you can download the desktop app over at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed to keep it online forever. Visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odyssey today. Video.freetalklive.com. All right, let's go back to your calls and your thoughts. We have Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that I would like the electric generator bicycle shop here in Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out we have no such thing. So all these shops are in Santa Fe. It was advertised. So only way that you could get this is a German invention. So I guess it's costs a lot of money.
So you're talking about the electric bicycles, right?
Well, but this is not the one that. Yeah, right. This is not the plug-in. I've seen the two types. The other type is you actually charge it. You plug it in overnight. You charge the battery.
Right.
But the one that I'm advocating for is the one that's got the generator where the water bottle goes, and your pedal is the turbine.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the battery goes in the back. So,
okay. And you want to get one of these? Is that right? You want to buy one of these?
Yeah, I want to buy one of these.
With all the bad drivers in Albuquerque, she wouldn't last a week.
Pedal faster.
Well,
we don't want you getting run over, Sarah.
Well, you know what? That's part of life in Albuquerque, you know? You got to put up with your local...
It's the Wild West, man. Take a risk.
So here's the thing that I know about these e-bikes is that you can buy one. You can buy one like online, for example. The big online retailer everybody uses starts with an A.
eBay? No. Elon?
They carry them.
E-bike?
Or you can find... You guys,
Amazon.
come on. I'm trying to say a thing here. Or you can find the brand that you want and go to that brand's website, and generally they'll either sell them directly online or they'll point you to somebody nearby that you can call and order one. That being said, once you have one, you don't have to take it to a specific electronic bike shop. You can
only ride it in Santa Fe.
You can take it to any shop, any bike shop, because the parts are basically universal, right? Your tires, your rims, right? Your steering columns, the bushings, your handlebars, right? All that kind of stuff.
Battery?
Well, I mean, so there's only a couple of things that a regular bicycle shop can't do. But what they can do is order those parts and replace them. So it's not that big of a deal that you don't have one near you, if that's what you're getting at, Sarah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that, people here in Albuquerque, we have less money, and we want those things here too. So why do they only have a shop in Santa Fe? That's my complaint.
Petition your government to provide it for all citizens.
Yeah, ride the bike to City Hall.
That's what communists would do, right?
Isn't she self-described?
That is true.
Yeah.
But the real reason that there isn't one is because so far the market has not demanded it to be so. Once there's enough demand in the market for there to be one, then it will appear.
Or you could start your own bike shop.
I demand a Krispy Kreme and a Jack in the Box in New Hampshire.
Well, you're so right. Is that the mass production? Once they start mass producing it, once people find out they like these better than the regular bike, and people demand it, the more sales they'll pump them out, and the more they produce, the price goes down. Right?
Well, what if you started your own bicycle shop that sold these to the community?
She couldn't sell them.
You could
She's
make a
communist. She'd
lot
have to
of
give them
money.
away.
Well, you could start fixing them for other people.
Well, the thing is, I do, but that's the reason of the power of this show. I call in to educate people about these bicycles, that we could demand more of it, order more online, buy more of these, and the more we write it, the more they're going to manufacture, and it's going to wind up in Walmart. We could buy it in Target, and that's what I'm aiming for. So it all helps with your radio station. And I heard a caller, Jimmy or something, from Las Cruces. So I'm really impressed with all of the New Mexico and Phoenix callers. That's just amazing how many people that listen in and call in from our state.
Well, you've done a great job, Sarah. Thanks for the call tonight.
Way to represent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is what all of New Mexico was like.
Electric bicycles.
Sarah obviously doesn't quite grasp that we're one of many shows on the local radio station that she listens to.
Right. Was there a
Mexico.
commercial about? There must have been a local commercial about electric bikes in town.
I don't know. I mean, I am a fan of e-bikes, though. I love them. They're great.
Yeah.
Her assessment wasn't all that wrong, right? If it's demanded more and more people are buying it, then it's going to become more commoditized and show up at places like Walmart and Target.
Yep. So
how do you get that far? Well, in her mind, it's get it out on a big radio show to get people buying more of it.
Yeah.
Have one of those e-bike manufacturers reach out to Free Talk Live for advertising.
And this is the magic of the market, right? Like, if somebody likes something and they tell other people about it and they like it too, they'll tell other people about it, and they'll tell two friends, and so on, and so on, and
like
so on.
Krispy Kreme donuts and Jack in the Box in New Hampshire.
Are you gonna open a Jack in the Krispy Kreme donut box?
If I had the money to franchise it, it crosses my mind.
Because they have like the KFC Taco Bell.
Yeah,
right? You could open the Krispy Kreme Jack in the Box. Although I think Jack in the Box, I think they also own Hardee's,
Jack in the Cream, and Gun Shop. No, Hardee's and Carl's Jr.
Yes,
is that the same company?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I'm 99% sure they're the same company. But then
Hardee's and Carl's Jr. is the same company. I don't know if they're owned by a.
I believe Jack in the Box is also.
Okay. Well, that would explain why
because I've
we don't
never
have
seen a
Hardee's
Jack in the Box where in a city where there's a Hardee's, and I've never seen a or vice versa. I've never seen a Carl's Jr. where there's a Jack in the Box.
Okay. So Hardee's is the East Coast version of Carl's Jr. So you would only have seen Carl's Jr. in Seattle.
I'm actually more familiar with Hardee's because I grew up in Wisconsin.
There you go.
But then when I moved out west,
it was Carl's Jr.
Jack in the Box. I've actually never been to a Carl's Jr.
Oh, you're missing out.
They actually didn't have one in the Seattle area.
Okay. You're missing out.
So I've been told.
But if you liked Hardee's, you'll love Carl's Jr. It's the same thing.
Is Hardee's and Carl's Jr. the same company?
Yes. We can answer that before the break.
603-283-6160. Will my co-hosts ever become sane? We'll find out. More coming up on Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Russia has claimed it's taken part of the city and warned the last remaining Ukrainian troops that they would be eliminated if they did not give up the fight. Officials in Mariupol say Russian forces are preparing to restrict access to the city in the next few days. Moscow has bombarded the strategically crucial southern port for around 2 months and is expected to step up its assault in the eastern Donbas region. But Ukrainian authorities say they are prepared to continue fighting in Mariupol and in the east. In an interview with CNN's State of the Union, Ukraine's president says his country will not give up its territory to end the conflict. Volodymyr Zelensky also told the programme that a visit by the President of the United States would send a strong message of support.
I think he will, but it's his decision, of course, about the safety situation.
The White House said last week Mr. Biden was not scheduled to visit Ukraine, but the president told reporters his team was making a final decision on sending a senior official. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. 2 teenage boys were killed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Sunday after gunfire broke out at a house party in a short-term rental. And in South Carolina, shots were fired in a lounge just hours after a separate incident in a mall in the state capital, Columbia. More than 30 people were injured in all 3 shootings, and police have arrested 1 man in connection with the Columbia Mall incident. The succession of shootings, some of them high profile, such as the one on a Brooklyn subway last week, have once again pushed the thorny issue of gun control back into the spotlight here in the United States. North Korea has testified a new tactical weapon according to its state media. The Korean Central News Agency released a photo of the country's leader Kim Jong-un smiling and clapping at what it said was the launch of the new weapon, which has great significance in drastically improving the firepower of the frontline long-range artillery units. Military officials in Seoul confirmed Pyongyang fired 2 missiles on Saturday night, which flew about 110 kilometers at an altitude of 23 kilometers. Experts say the timing of the test could be significant as it came just before South Korea and the United States start their annual joint military drills. North Korea has previously condemned these exercises, accusing the United States of a hostile intent. Pyongyang has already conducted an unprecedented number of weapons tests this year, which analysts warn could be the lead-up to a possible nuclear test. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSA.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
I have never taken apart a burger like that.
Never?
Never.
Yeah. When you're in a band and you're smoking green leafy substances, you do weird things at the drive-thru from time to time.
Like the secret menu?
That you
just
learn
don't fall asleep or the cops will shoot you.
That's true. You do learn of secret menus at fast food places, but you also get creative with your fast food, like ordering 1 Big Mac and a couple of McDoubles, and you just disassemble the McDoubles and make yourself a
Super Mac.
I don't even know what to call it. A giant Mac, a ginormous Mac, a hugantic Mac. It was, wow. I don't know. It was a Scooby Mac is what it was, or a Shaggy Mac, depending on which character you more identify with there on Scooby-Doo.
I'm just glad McDonald's named their signature burger after that founder.
What?
Think about that for a second.
That founder.
Because there was 2 of them.
McDonald?
Well, no, because there was Mac.
Croc?
And Dick.
603-283-6160 is the phone number if you would like to join us. Before we go to your calls, I just want to, because it's us here, the 3 of us, Richie Rich.
What is that supposed to
mean?
Steve
Classic.
And what is it supposed to mean? Well, this particular article pertains probably to us.
Oh.
Scientists actually identify common personality traits of complete a-holes. So, something I want to get to.
This could take 2 hours.
But just the first 2 bullet points they highlight before we get in. We'll get to calls, but it says, first bullet point, most likely to be middle-aged men The typical a-hole tends to be manipulative, aggressive, and struggles to control anger.
Guilty.
Now, I don't tend to be manipulative. I can be aggressive if I want to, but I do struggle to control anger, particularly road rage, which is why I'm so happy
or
to
with
live.
Incompetent customer service reps.
I'm so happy to live in a rural area now, because as long as I don't go to a big city, my road rage is cured.
Nice.
So, and do these apply to you? Manipulative, aggressive?
No.
Struggle to
Middle
control
age,
anger?
yes.
Okay. All right.
1 for 4.
Yeah.
And then the second bullet point, they just didn't really care about others were thinking. I have never really cared about what others think about what I'm doing.
I mean, that's 90% of my issue right there.
Or how they're perceived by others. Every now and again.
Typical American.
Don't
care about your
I
fellow
don't
man.
care.
Like, I'm human.
No, I don't
and,
care
like,
what people think about me. Is that what it means?
I'll fall into that sometimes, but for the most part, I could give a crap what other people think about what I do, how I'm perceived. I'm not responsible for the version of me that exists in your brains.
Right.
My theme song should be Bad Reputation. Just saying. I love that song.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's upbeat.
It doesn't matter.
It's upbeat. It doesn't sound
It's an
like
upbeat. No, it's upbeat.
Let's go to more of your calls and thoughts. We have Bad Slave calling from New Hampshire. Bad Slave, you're on Free Talk Live.
You know?
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I want to say first,
we know.
Good old Sarah comes in. I was one of the early adopters of e-bikes. There's a company called Saunders, and they had a what do you call it? A
website?
GoFundMe kind of thing.
Oh, a Kickstarter, GoFundMe? Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Indiegogo or something like that.
Sure.
And so I was able to buy, a fairly decent, e-bike for $4.99.
$4.99?
No, $499.
Oh, I was going to say.
And 99 cents.
That's still a pretty good deal, though.
Without the
For
battery.
an e-bike, yeah, absolutely.
No, this is with a battery. This is the whole thing.
Cool. How long ago did you buy it? How many years ago?
Oh, gosh. Gotta be 5 years now.
Okay, do you still have it, and does it still work?
Yeah, I do, and it does. But
How often do you use it?
I actually upgraded to a better one that worked better for me. Not because the other one was bad, but because it had four and a half.
So no, you don't still have it. You got a different one, and now you have it instead.
Well, you still might have both.
Still have them both.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a 2-bike household.
And,
Well,
when somebody wants to go for a ride with me, I got another e-bike for somebody to ride along.
When I'm taking someone for a ride, I rarely leave the house.
All right. Was that all you were calling about, or was there something else?
No. I just wanted to say, Johnny come lately, Sarah is, it's just kind of silly. I don't know
Johnny
if you
come
remember.
lately because he's just learning about e-bikes.
If you remember Michael Hampton, I mean, he was in the market for an e-bike. And,
Actually, he actually did purchase one, and I did get to see it, and it was really nice.
And was patient zero for studio COVIDs.
I think it was over $2,000. I mean, the second one I bought was only, I think it was under $1,000.
Yeah,
that seems reasonable for that level of purchase.
Yeah. No, and it folded. It had it came. I had to buy extra. On the original one, I had to buy a display, and I bought a second battery.
I got a question, Bad Slave, because I'm a bigger dude, and I know some of these e-bikes have sort of weight restrictions, right? Like if you're over 200 pounds or something like that, some of them only support up to like 175 and that kind of a thing. Does yours have a weight classification?
They're all in the over 300.
Okay.
Yeah, where are you finding these 175s? That's not even an average male.
Well, so as you can imagine, hey, Bad Slave, thanks for the call. As you can imagine, a lot of these are not made in the United States of America.
Oh, okay.
And so the average human male, overseas, where it's an average country they're made, are smaller.
Okay.
For example, however, like
when I started triple XL,
when I started looking at these. I was only looking at ones that were, say, $500 and under. Okay. Not many of them exist, and they were all like, and it wasn't until you got into the $1,500 range that, all of a sudden, you would get ones that are,
Well, is that based on horsepower or like? Why can't
manpower? Just pedal.
Manpower, like what? It doesn't go up the hill if you're certain.
So some no. Like it's just they're manufactured like the welds, right? When they're welding this stuff together.
Wow.
Like, is the bike going to break?
At 175 pounds?
Well, no, over that.
Jeez.
Right? If you're
sounds like it's for kids.
If you're the size of an NFL linebacker, well, you're going to need something that's going to hold you.
Yeah, just get a motorcycle at that point.
If you've ever broken an office chair.
I do like e-bikes specifically for a prep, right? If you're talking prepping, right? Post-apocalypse, grid down, major catastrophe, right? That's a catastrophe and a disaster.
Portmanteaus.
Nice, thank you.
Horrible.
I like it for a prep because you can charge these things with just a solar panel, and it doesn't even have to be like a great solar panel. It can be one of these like portable fold-up ones that fits in your backpack. It might take half a day, 4 or 5 hours for you to get a full charge, but you can, and so you're not reliant upon fuel for some form of transportation. Point A to point B at least,
and the electricity in the battery is good for like uphill assist if you're struggling on that on your own bike.
An uphill assist?
Yeah.
Oh,
to assist you as you're going.
But you could ride it as a regular bicycle.
Can just
when
pedal.
Your battery dies, you just pedal.
Yes.
But the pedaling can actually charge the battery.
It does have a generator attached to it that does recharge it somewhat when you pedal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't eat your battery quite as fast, which is how it gets the limits of how many miles it's rated for. So some of these are rated for 20 miles, some are like 100 miles. It depends on the quality of the bike and whether it has the alternator in it.
Will Tesla make e-bikes?
Elon's e-bike, will it be a thing? We'll find out here on Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. Fork Fest takes place the week after Pork Fest, but Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest Forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Forkfest.party.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Fact.
The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact: there's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything that's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us. In the studio, it's myself, the captain,
Steve Classic,
and Richie Rich.
So let's circle back to this studyfinds.org article where a study has found, wow,
go figure,
really living up to their URL, scientists actually identify common personality traits of complete a-holes. And this is perfect for us, I guess, because, you know, some people call us a-holes.
I mean, if the marketing wasn't already taken by a former, like, co-host, I'd probably use, you know...
The AAA?
The AAA.
Yeah. I actually used that myself for a period of time on a social media until I saw said former co-host using it, and I immediately took it down.
Don't want to be associated with that guy.
Because I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. It's safe to say just about everyone knows that person. That one person they just can't stand, that drives them crazy, they wish they never saw again. Simply put, a complete and total a-hole. Now, a new study is revealing the personality traits and most likely people who are the a-holes in your life. Research from the University of Georgia says that the most likely people to be the biggest a-holes in someone's life are middle-aged men. How old are you, Richie?
40, allegedly.
How old are you?
I'm as old as the Super Bowl.
Oh, 53?
Whoa, go back to the magic rectangle.
52.
Magic rectangle.
All right,
I'm higher. Higher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Lawrence Taylor's number?
56.
Yeah, in July.
Okay, all right.
I think I'm past middle age because
I'm be 50 next month.
All right.
So, you know, yeah,
middle,
we're all.
Yeah, middle age.
What is
like
middle age?
35 and a
Whatever.
half.
Depends when you die.
37.
You got to get to the end and work backwards.
I think
man.
37 is probably middle age.
Well, anyway, they tend to be middle-aged men. Just to be clear, however, these aren't the only individuals who display signs of a-holery. The team surveyed nearly 400 people.
Because we've seen enough. We're tired of bottling it up.
Asking each one about the biggest a-hole in their life and the personality traits they displayed regularly. Respondents most often claim these people are manipulative, aggressive, and entitled. I just have to say, before I go on any further with this subject and this article, or with you guys, or with the listeners, that it is entirely difficult to read this article on air because they actually spell out the word that I can't say. So if I'm a little slower or if I'm stuttering a bit, bear with me because I have to acquiesce to the state.
Because you're an a-hole.
Because, yeah, I'm an a-hole.
And it'd be ironic if he had to dump himself.
I have dumped myself before.
Free Talk Live.
I'm sure I will dump myself again.
The captain continues.
Are a-holes one step away from being psychopaths?
Yes.
Study authors
One
say...
step? Jeez.
Study authors say two traits respondents mentioned, manipulation and irresponsibility, are concerning because a-holes aren't the only ones displaying them. These two traits in particular are major factors in expert profiles of psychopathic, antisocial, and narcissistic personality disorders. What were they again? Manipulation and irresponsibility. I think I'm irresponsible, but most people who know me are like, dude, you're one of the most responsible people I've ever met.
It's because you're punctual. People
yeah,
get
you're on
those
time.
confused.
You're on time all the time.
And manipulation, I don't know that anybody can accuse me of manipulating them.
No. Totally my thing.
Really?
I want to say that it's, childhood, right? Like my parents were divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So it was easy.
Oh, you were playing them against each other?
From a very young age.
Did you do the thing where you're like, hey, Mom, Dad said it's okay with him if it's okay with you if I go and do the thing? And they're like, well, only if it's okay with your father. And then you'd be like, hey, Dad, Mom says it's okay with her if it's okay with you if I go do the thing?
No, because they were divorced. I didn't have to do that at all.
Oh.
I just, my dad was way too strict. And when I'd go to my mom's house, like fair game, because she wanted to like play the get back thing.
Ah.
Right? Whatever he said you can't do, you just do here.
Ah, okay. All right. I got you.
You're grounded, except when you're at my house.
It sounds more like you were the one being manipulated than you manipulating them.
But it's a learned behavior.
That's true.
So I used it then, and I continue to use it.
Classic? Manipulative?
Is that manipulative?
Are
or am
you?
I? No,
Yeah.
no, I don't manipulate anybody.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
I know you manipulate things in your day job, like
you have
compressor.
to. Yeah, you have to manipulate equipment, but I don't manipulate the talent. They do whatever they want.
Why is it called manipulation?
Manipulation.
Isn't that sexist? Shouldn't it just be called ipulate?
Use they and their.
Manipulate.
Ipulation.
Manipulation.
Gender-free ipulation. People didn't really have very much trouble figuring out who the biggest a-hole in their life was, says lead author Brinkley Sharp. Very sharp of you, by the way, Brinkley. In a media release. Along with certain middle-aged men, the survey found half of the biggest a-holes respondents know personally are their exes, their old bosses, and even estranged family members.
Oh, that's not fair. It's all the people that already hate them are the ones going like, well, that's the a-hole.
Have you ever driven in really horrible city traffic?
Oh, on 95?
Or even ridden in a car?
Highway?
Probably not as bad as yours.
Well,
but yeah.
But you have.
Yeah.
Right. And have you ever noticed that it's always the other guy? That's the a-hole. It's never the driver. It's never you or whoever's driving the car you're in.
George Carlin said it, right? If someone's driving slower than you, they're an a-hole. If they're driving faster than you, they're an a-hole.
That's right. Very good with the Carlin.
Wow.
We talked about that. On average, participants didn't think that they were very close to these individuals, which makes sense because these people are being described as having pretty aversive behavior, Sharpettes. For 1 in 3 people, unfortunately, the biggest a-holes they know are still a constant presence in their lives.
That's what happens when it's family.
These annoying individuals
If you're in a room with relatives and you don't know who the a-hole is.
Right. Or it's a boss. I mean, you're working for the person. What are you going to do?
Every boss is an a-hole.
Yeah. I mean,
these annoying individuals include coworkers, friends, and even their current romantic partner.
Oh.
Okay, having been a musician and hung around with outlaw type bikers and that kind of thing.
Real a-holes.
I can tell you that for whatever reason, the hottest women gravitate towards the biggest a-holes.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about.
Manipulation.
Or woman manipulation.
Guess I'm not a big enough a-hole then.
Yeah.
Gotta work on
all
it.
right.
I feel you.
Okay.
So what really makes someone an a-hole? It's quite possible one person thinks someone's a complete jerk while their friend actually likes them. With that in mind, study authors looked at the actions of these individuals the authors looked at the actions these individuals take, which rub everyone around them the wrong way. Along with noting the top 3 behaviors people say makes someone an a-hole, the group had to answer these 3 questions. Do you think the person knows their behavior bothers people? Do you think that person cares that their behavior bothers people? And do you think that person could change their behavior if they really wanted to? Those are 3 good questions, right?
Yeah.
When I was in corporate management, they would put us through these management trainings every year or so, and they would talk about addressing the behavior. Never address the person, right? And never be like, Steve, you're a total screw-up. You can't do anything right. No. Steve, you have managed to screw up multiple orders in a row. This is a behavior we need to address. So I'm not like calling you an a-hole. I'm calling your behavior an a-hole.
Walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
We're going to listen to those sales calls and see how you've been.
It was a way for them to avoid lawsuits.
Understood.
Right. It's not you.
HR is a fascinating topic.
Until you actually need them, right? For
then they're not on your
employee.
side. That's the important thing you got to know.
Yeah.
Like, HR is there to protect the company.
Not you.
Not you.
Yeah. Like, I remember saying this to an HR person, like, look, I'm a human, and I need some damn resources. Will you help me or not? You know? And they were like, I'm like, okay. Yeah. Anyway.
You sound manipulative.
I digress.
You were the resource.
And I sound angry.
You were the resource that they're managing. You, the human being, is the resource of the company. You were disposable.
It's interesting. This is a quote now. It's interesting to me that the behaviors people are keying in on sort of run the gamut, Sharp says. When we talk about personality, the a-hole was described as somebody who is not agreeable and is angry. When we talk about behaviors, the a-hole was not necessarily being antagonistic towards people, but they just didn't really care what others were thinking or how they were perceived by others. Another common theme is that a-holes often struggle to control their anger, are often irresponsible, or hold bigoted opinions. However, the researchers also found that respondents have many complaints which are specific to their own world view.
Is the captain an a-hole? We'll find out right after these messages.
603-283-6160 is the number. Join us. This is Free Talk Live.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Russia has claimed it's taken part of the city and warned the last remaining Ukrainian troops that they would be eliminated if they did not give up the fight. Officials in Mariupol say Russian forces are preparing to restrict access to the city in the next few days. Moscow has bombarded the strategically crucial southern port for around 2 months and is expected to step up its assault in the eastern Donbas region. But Ukrainian authorities say they are prepared to continue fighting in Mariupol and in the east. In an interview with CNN's State of the Union, Ukraine's president says his country will not give up its territory to end the conflict. Volodymyr Zelensky also told the programme that a visit by the President of the United States would send a strong message of support.
I think he will, but it's his decision, of course, about the safety situation.
The White House said last week Mr. Biden was not scheduled to visit Ukraine, but the president told reporters his team was making a final decision on sending a senior official. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. 2 teenage boys were killed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Sunday after gunfire broke out at a house party in a short-term rental. And in South Carolina, shots were fired in a lounge just hours after a separate incident in a mall in the state capital, Columbia. More than 30 people were injured in all 3 shootings, and police have arrested 1 man in connection with the Columbia Mall incident. The succession of shootings, some of them high profile, such as the one on a Brooklyn subway last week, have once again pushed the thorny issue of gun control back into the spotlight here in the United States. North Korea has testified a new tactical weapon according to its state media. The Korean Central News Agency released a photo of the country's leader Kim Jong-un smiling and clapping at what it said was the launch of the new weapon, which has great significance in drastically improving the firepower of the frontline long-range artillery units. Military officials in Seoul confirmed Pyongyang fired 2 missiles on Saturday night, which flew about 110 kilometers at an altitude of 23 kilometers. Experts say the timing of the test could be significant as it came just before South Korea and the United States start their annual joint military drills. North Korea has previously condemned these exercises, accusing the United States of a hostile intent. Pyongyang has already conducted an unprecedented number of weapons tests this year, which analysts warn could be the lead-up to a possible nuclear test. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. The stage is set in Washington for the annual spring meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, an event that is partly in-person this year, partly virtual, and will also see a G20 finance ministers meeting taking place on its fringes. The spring meetings traditionally set the stage for the world's fiscal prospects in the year ahead, and as you might imagine, with the world still dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and now also the crisis in Ukraine, the backdrop for the meetings is pretty grim. Jim Lindsay is with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations.
The focal point of the meetings is supposed to be the World Bank report and an impending IMF report looking forward at the world. Basically, the headline there is buckle up, expect a lot of turbulence. What's going to be hanging over all of the conversations is the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the repercussions it has. The U.S. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen has said that the U.S. may boycott certain meetings if Russian officials show up. And the G20 has already signaled that there won't be the typical communique at the end of the meeting because of the divisions over Russia.
One issue to watch, how the meetings deal with growing anxiety over international debt. Sri Lanka is already defaulting, and more than 60% of the world's lowest income countries are facing the possibility of debt distress. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the southern port city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. And North Korea has test-fired a new tactical weapon, according to its state media. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In local news, a succession of terrible events failed to befall a 33-year-old riding a longboard to his digital media job Monday. Shocked bystanders helplessly watched as media developer Jake Reston skated safely through Manhattan traffic without flipping over on his obnoxiously oversized skateboard and smashing his stupid face into the pavement, with many saying they were horrified at the sight of the floppy-haired little shit walking into his office unscathed.
It was one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. He wasn't even hit by a car. I was just praying that someone would step in and throw him off his stupid little skateboard and punch him right in the mouth.
In other news, a study finds owning a cool leather jacket is more rewarding than raising a child. A community garden sprouts the first condom wrapper of spring, and a little turtle gorges on an entire raspberry.
Tonight in the cabin, schoolmarm's telling about how they talk about corpulation down the school. Only a fool needs telling how to screw. Just let the pecker guide you. But come on, listen anyhow.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. You are listening to Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Use it or lose it. As some people like to call it, the terrorist hotline. The domestic terrorist.
Oh, domestic. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, you caught me off guard there.
But you can call from anywhere. International.
Yeah, you don't have to be
whatever.
domestic. Yeah, you can just
Or
dial.
you could be feral. You could be a feral caller just roaming the wild and you want to call. It's fine. It's not limited to domestic.
Call
terrorists.
collect 603-283.
No, call collect.
No, don't call. No, don't call.
We are not accepting the charges for collect calls. What a horrible idea.
All right.
Classic.
Call 1-800.
We've done it before.
Yeah, but only if we knew like the caller. You know what I mean?
And they were calling from jail.
Yeah, if they're in prison, they can call collect.
No, that's not.
No? All right, never mind.
No,
if you're a
we're not
domestic
just-
terrorist, you can
We're not
call.
just going to take anybody's collect call. It's not going to happen. All
Well,
right.
you're the call screener, aren't you? So you could determine.
You could reject the call.
I'm just.
You can
I
reject
don't
the
want a
call.
whole bunch of people suddenly calling collect. So
Is that still
don't
a thing?
Don't do it.
Is really that still a
You're
thing?
setting
Call-
off the pranksters.
Like, I'd like to
God,
call collect.
man.
I thought
Do
that was
you-
like a 70s term.
You really are showing your age.
1-800-COLLECT. 1-800-CALL ATT.
You know, are you trying to be an a-hole? Are you
I
living
already
up?
am. I mean,
are you living
you're-
up to the three things they've outlined?
It's an autobiography.
Is it?
I don't know. No, I think that the second bullet point was great.
Which was?
You don't care what other people think about you.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't care.
A very libertarian of you.
Yeah, I don't care. Call me whatever. Dox me whatever. I don't care.
All right. Well, we will get back to this article about what makes a person an a-hole, but let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. We've got Catherine calling from New Jersey. Catherine, you're on Free Talk Live.
I am, and I just found this program, minding my own business, coming home from my granddaughter's house.
Thanks for listening.
I was surprised to get through. I mean, wow. But anyway, I had purchased this vehicle, which was a plug-in hybrid, and I was promised $7,500 in 2017, I think, and then I got another car in 2019, I think. I don't know.
Was that like the
But
tax
anyway,
credit that you were expecting, or?
That's the tax credit.
Okay.
The federal credit. It's a federal credit, right?
Okay.
I don't even know who to call, but I never received the money. The week before last, I went over there and I said, listen, I need to do this. They're going to want me to get another car. That's the thing. They keep me roped in. Meanwhile, my car payment is through the roof because of the fact that every 2 years they put me in another car and they pay the balance. That's fine. But my tax man, I tried to have him put it on there, and it was just real crazy. So he gave me another email address. I emailed the person. I've never received a response back. Now that's a lot of money twice, $7,500 to turn around and but anyway, I've been really having a rough year because I never received my income tax. It got lost in the mail. So I'm going over to the dealership, which I probably need to go higher to find out where is this federal credit or tax credit, which happens to be $7,500. for the vehicle that I have right now.
I don't even know how that works.
Yeah,
Is it a rebate?
Well, hang on. How long ago
And
were
me
you
being
supposed
a
to
single
get?
lady, I think they got me by the ears because when I go in there, they make it sound really good.
How long ago
So,
were you
I don't know
supposed to
what
get
to
this
do.
money, Catherine? How long ago? How long has it been?
And it was the toughest time I ever seen this year.
Well, she said it happened twice.
Yeah.
So it sounds like she goes in for a vehicle. They promise her the credit. They don't give it to her. And then they trade in the vehicle, but they're not giving her fair
my
value
salesman
for it.
passed away from COVID, and he was a wonderful salesman. But I don't have any, I don't have any.
I think
you
just
know.
your bill of sale to your certified public accountant would qualify for that tax credit if you have the right government form.
I have a certified. I had to get another certified CPA due to the fact that the other guy wasn't even a CPA. He was just a real estate man. And I didn't know that, but it all came out.
I would buy a
but
diesel
I don't
truck.
think he knew what he was doing.
Buy a diesel truck.
From Elon?
From Elon.
I have really, really good diesel truck. I have really,
Allegedly,
really
those
good-
batteries are filled with diesel.
The batteries are full of diesel.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, they don't want to know who I am because last August I fell and broke my hip and had to have a hip replacement. So they don't know that, but I still all winter this whole year was real tight for me because I told you I'm a senior and I am retired. And I was working before, some little jobs or whatever, which would work, So I really don't know what to do. I'm sure I'm not the only one going through this.
Not with inflation the way it is.
Yeah.
That's hitting everybody.
I wish you the best of luck. I don't know what to tell you other than you get your paperwork in order, go higher at the dealership, escalate it as far as you can, try and get your money back. And if that doesn't work for you, then perhaps it's time to consult something like an attorney or even somebody locally. I know often television stations will have like a consumer advocate, that type of a thing.
That's if she's actually getting like raked over the coals. Right. I don't know how those rebates work. If it's just built into the sale price.
I don't know either, but
and her monthly payments are dropped down because of it.
Yeah.
She's getting in.
I don't know the details of it, but if I'm in her position, those are the things that I would do. And thanks for the call, Catherine. We appreciate it.
I would just, if you any type of tax credit that you're given. I know that I had solar hot water tax credit, solar incentives tax credit.
Yeah.
You have to have your receipts, and then there's a portion you have to itemize your taxes. If you just have a job with a 1040 and you just do your taxes very easily,
right?
It's difficult to get that tax credit, but I itemize everything and file extensions and whatever. But you put that stuff in to a form. I don't know whatever the form number is, but
yeah. There's also this thing where dealerships will go, if you buy a car today, we'll give you, $5,000 cash back.
Oh, because they take the tax credit,
that kind of a thing, right? And then they turn
they give you $5,000, and they get.
But then why would you not just apply that to the purchase of the car?
Well, okay, so I don't have a lot of experience buying cars. My understanding is that the dealers have like the price that they're going to sell it to you at, and then all those credits and whatnot, they just use that as the markdown.
Right.
So if the sticker price is like $25,000, they know they're going to sell it to you for $20,000. Right, then every promotion that they can think
goes
of
back
is
to
just
that $5,000.
goes into the $5,000 somewhere.
Right.
Because I remember one time I said they had a promotion for like new college graduates, or like bring your diploma, and I had that in my back pocket. I like negotiated everything, got the price on it. Oh, by the way, here's like the $500 more for the diploma, and they didn't. Right, it was like, oh, we just apply that towards whatever we already had.
There's a reason why the street term for dealerships is stealerships.
Yeah.
I have several friends who work in the automotive industry, and while they have been gainfully employed in this industry for the majority of their lives, they themselves refer to them as stealerships. In fact, if I call them for advice, they're like, "Oh, it sounds like it might be something for the stealership to address." That's the common language they use. So, a long time ago, when I found out that if you buy a brand new car and you just drive off the lot, you've lost I
Right,
25%
bring
of the
it back and
vehicle,
return it
whatever.
2 days later. Like, whoa.
Yeah, like as soon as I found that out, I'm like, why would you ever buy a new car?
Well, because now used cars are more expensive than new cars.
Right.
Okay, but are they really? No.
Yes. No,
you
yes, they are.
You can't buy a $5,000 brand new car.
You're right, but you also can't really find a $5,000 used car at the dealerships anymore. Like the used car prices.
Who buys a used car at a dealership?
Okay.
Well, unless it's a certified that the dealer goes through it and all that.
Again, what I'm saying is I never buy from dealerships.
Okay.
I stay away from it. I will take a car into a dealership if there's something like recall work to be done, or if it's something only the dealership can address. Sometimes they have, computers on board, and
you're not going to get a warranty out of a cash sale either.
Right.
So it's caveat emptor to the max.
Are e-bikes more expensive than used cars?
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover springs her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL. Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Used Car Talk Live. Oh, wait, no, Free Talk Live.
Sometimes you get burned on cash sales.
603-283-6160. Are used car salesmen a-holes?
Yes.
Because they have a reputation as such.
I've seen Matilda. That guy was an a-hole.
I've never known a dude to be named Matilda.
Oh, no, the movie Matilda?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't even worry about it then.
Okay.
Nah. I don't know.
In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Let's go to the phones and the fun. We have Major Payne calling from Michigan. Major, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, you guys remember just a couple days ago I called him with a news flash from the A&H News Network. And Ian asked me what that stood for, and I thought for a second, and I says, well, astute and honorable, of course. And then he went into a little something, and I says, well, I just made it up, dude. It could stand for the Ass and Hole Network. And here you guys have created your own. How do you like that?
Major, are you an a-hole?
I've been accused of said same. Here, I got a trifecta for you.
Based on the palm print on my cheek.
When I was just a pup, there was homosexuals, heterosexuals, and bisexuals, right?
Okay.
That's all you need.
So I invented a new class. I says, we're going to have trisexuals.
Try anything.
Buddy of mine looked at me, what you talking about? Willis, and I says, well, that's somebody that try any damn thing. But,
I knew it.
That right there might have qualified me for a AA award. I don't know.
Well, what are you really calling about tonight?
Well, back about 15, 20 years ago, when PBS actually told you the truth, you could generally believe most of the stuff that they came across with. There was a study, and I don't know if they interviewed 10,000 people or 1,000 people or whatever, but they asked them if they thought they had common sense. And 7 out of 10 says, yeah, I think I got common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they gave them a paper test to see if they actually ascertained and had what they thought they had. And it turns out only 3 of the 7 did. So the moral of the story is 7 out of the 10 people walking around, you were blithering idiots, and you better watch your furry ass. But the older I get,
yeah,
the
I
less
think it's
my
another Carlin
tolerance.
thing. Think about how dumb the average person is. Half the population is dumber than that.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, it's gotten worse now with all the stuff and putting in the water and whatnot, fluoride and everything other damn thing.
Chemtrails.
But
chemtrails.
COVID vaccine.
Chemtrails. Anyway, you guys are distracting me from my thought.
We tend to do that from time to time.
Yeah, I know. Welcome to the world of Babylon.
Frat Talk Live.
So anyway, So this takes me to my point of and you said middle-aged men and whatnot. Well, if you do possess common sense and you're surrounded by idiots for most of your life, your patience tends to wear a mite thin.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My tolerance for idiotism has gotten way low.
Yeah. I can't really disagree with any of that. In fact, the older I get, the lower my tolerance for even
idiocracy.
Yeah, simple.
That's why Grandpa can hit on the waitresses.
Dude, I had that word coined. I was going to spit that out. Damn it, Steve.
Yeah,
advance of idiocracy. That's exactly what we got here.
Yeah,
and we're giving them checks and paying them to breed.
It is one of the best portmanteaus ever invented. It is, of course, portmanteau of idiot and democracy, or any ocracy, right?
It's Mike Judge.
Whatever. Yeah, idiocracy. But my tolerance for, or my patience with people for like the most mundane things, right? Like I bumped into a cashier the other day at a gas station who couldn't, you know how like you count your change backwards?
Yep.
Right? And they go, oh, your total was $15.04, and you start with the change up to the dollar amount,
right?
17, 18, 19, 20, right? You know, they didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
They struggled with even like getting the bills out of the register.
Right.
And I'm just like, are you new? And no, I've been here for like a year. And I'm like,
just give me $3 and I'm out of here.
Similar thing in a Jack in the Box drive-thru, right? Like I knew what the total was. I knew what change I had, and I went, okay, I don't have enough to cover it, but I know I want like 2 quarters back. So I gave the dude like enough, so I got 50 cents in change or something like that. And my son was in the car next to me. I went, watch this. He's not going to figure this out.
Figure it out.
And so I give him the money, and it's like more than he expects because there's like the bills and the change. He's like,
I'm supposed to give you the change.
Sir, your total's only like, $18.75 or whatever. I'm like, just punch in the numbers, man.
Yeah.
Just you have the computer there. Type in what I handed you, and hand back what the machine says.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, and then I get my 2 quarters back, and I look over at my son. and go, see, morons.
Now I think like I don't want to be too critical of too many people because I worked in low level customer facing jobs as a youth. And I was stoned out of my gourd for a lot of that time. And so I imagine I did some pretty like, oh, wow, man. Like I had my moments and stuff. So
just push the button. Machine doesn't work for you.
I'm sure that there were people, like me then who I was the a-hole, at that point. So I don't want to be too critical because I'm human and I make mistakes. But at the same time, my patience does wear thin the older I get. Major?
Captain, I was the pizza driver for years back in the 80s, and I made change out of my head. I was never more than 11 cents off in my pocket, right? And here's a joke I came up with in the late 80s. What's the quickest way to take out a college student?
Rounding the corner.
Steal his batteries.
Oh,
from the calculator?
Steal his batteries.
Yep. My brain is dead. I can no longer function.
Now it's take away the magic rectangle.
Hey, Major, thanks for the call. He goes by Major Payne. Perhaps we change his name to Major A-hole. What do you think? No?
Lieutenant, maybe.
Lieutenant?
Yeah, let's lieutenant, but that's how they say it in England. Lieutenant.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. It's lieutenant, but it's the British way to say
Colonel
lieutenant.
even spelled like that?
Right. Colonial or lieutenant. It's lieutenant.
Why is Colonel spelled Colonel? Colonel. I have no idea why it's spelled like that or pronounced like that, for that matter. But this happens.
But captain is captain.
Just spell it like the popcorn.
Well, it's actually
Colonel.
spelled Captain.
El Capitan?
Yeah, like if it was spelled the way it sounds, it'd be like Capten.
Sure.
Yeah.
Captain. Yeah.
That would make more sense anyway, because like if you look at words in the dictionary, they spell it differently to show you how to pronounce it.
Right.
And they should just spell
right.
it like the pronunciation.
Exactly.
And then you don't have to worry about the extra steps.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think you should publish your own dictionary. The RichieRichDictionary.com. Coming soon to a magic rectangle near you.
Stumped Steve.
I'm trying to think of something with Richie Rich, but I don't know. Will I be back in the seat when we come back from break?
603
Get new material.
6160. Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Wagner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Russia has claimed it's taken part of the city and warned the last remaining Ukrainian troops that they would be eliminated if they did not give up the fight. Officials in Mariupol say Russian forces are preparing to restrict access to the city in the next few days. Moscow has bombarded the strategically crucial southern port for around 2 months and is expected to step up its assault in the eastern Donbas region. But Ukrainian authorities say they are prepared to continue fighting in Mariupol and in the east. In an interview with CNN State of the Union, Ukraine's president says his country will not give up its territory to end the conflict. Volodymyr Zelensky also told the programme that a visit by the President of the United States would send a strong message of support.
I think he will, but it's his decision, of course, about the safety situation.
The White House said last week Mr. Biden was not scheduled to visit Ukraine, but the president told reporters his team was making a final decision on sending a senior official. Residents of the U.S. states of Pennsylvania and South Carolina have been left reeling following 3 mass shootings over the Easter weekend. 2 teenage boys were killed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Sunday after gunfire broke out at a house party in a short-term rental. And in South Carolina, shots were fired in a lounge just hours after a separate incident in a mall in the state capital, Columbia. More than 30 people were injured in all 3 shootings, and police have arrested 1 man in connection with the Columbia Mall incident. The succession of shootings, some of them high profile, such as the one on a Brooklyn subway last week, have once again pushed the thorny issue of gun control back into the spotlight here in the United States. North Korea has testified a new tactical weapon according to its state media. The Korean Central News Agency released a photo of the country's leader Kim Jong-un smiling and clapping at what it said was the launch of the new weapon, which has great significance in drastically improving the firepower of the frontline long-range artillery units. Military officials in Seoul confirmed Pyongyang fired 2 missiles on Saturday night, which flew about 110 kilometers at an altitude of 23 kilometers. Experts say the timing of the test could be significant as it came just before South Korea and the United States start their annual joint military drills. North Korea has previously condemned these exercises, accusing the United States of a hostile intent. Pyongyang has already conducted an unprecedented number of weapons tests this year, which analysts warn could be the lead-up to a possible nuclear test. From bureaus worldwide, this is FS.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Meow, 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 meow. I just realized that my chair was on the ground, so I just got a little lift here, so it's a different view.
I have to tell you that most of the time, the ground is your friend. Why? Because you can't fall off the ground most of the time.
Depends how fast you get to it.
Jesus, I'll take your word for it.
Like if I'm easing my way down to the ground, fine. But if it's a swift...
No, but if you're on
friend.
the ground,
okay,
the ground is your friend because you're not going to fall off the ground.
You have nowhere else to go.
But I've fallen into the ground while being on the ground, and that is painful.
Well, that just means you're well grounded.
Okay.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, libertarians, and other freedom-minded individuals June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. But Forkfest takes place the week after Porkfest. And Forkfest is decentralized, and that means no one is in charge, and there's no ticket cost. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, your RV site, or your motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and the Matrix chat rooms as well. All of that can be found at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there again. Forkfest.party. I am
Say
looking
that
forward.
3 times fast.
That.
No, Forkfest. No, not on the air.
Forkfest.
Wow, you're good.
You have a dirty mind, Steve.
All right, say North Fork.
No.
Okay, 3 times fast.
All right, so we were talking
A-hole.
about... Yeah, we were talking...
Speaking of a-hole.
We're really illustrating this article.
Wow.
This is an
Clock on the
example.
wall, say, yeah.
So another common theme is that a-holes often struggle to control their anger, are often irresponsible, and hold bigoted opinions. However, the researchers also found that the respondents have many complaints which are specific to their own worldview. These included people calling someone an a-hole because they don't wear face masks or voted for a controversial figure like Donald Trump. Where did this article come from?
Study finds. It's a study.
Yeah. Who paid for that study?
Democrats.
Yeah.
Quote, there's clearly a lot of variation in how people use this word, unquote, Sharp concludes. That's the guy who wrote this article, I believe.
If you've ever attacked a flight attendant who told you to put your mask on,
well,
you might be an a-hole.
Yeah, I've never attacked a flight attendant.
Okay.
Like, why would I attack a flight? For any reason.
It turned into a thing during COVID, man.
Yeah, right.
There
Put
were
your
articles
mask on.
There were articles left and right.
I did stop flying once the...
well, that's why you hadn't encountered a flight attendant who told you to put your mask on.
With one exception, two exceptions. I stopped flying as soon as the TSA became a thing.
That was a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to go through the barbecue scanner and all that.
Yeah. So there were 2 times that I flew since then. One was to fly back home for a family thing. And then the other one was, of course, to fly here when I relocated from the West Coast, the Seattle area, to New Hampshire. So I packed up all my stuff, put it in one of these pods, these, on-demand storage things that they show up at your door and drop one at your, at the street corner, and you load all your stuff in it. They come and take it away. So my stuff left before I did.
Yep.
And then I got here before my stuff did and had to wait like another week for my
with no stuff.
So I had no stuff for like a week before I left. And then I left. And then I got here and I still had no stuff for like another week until my stuff showed up. So it was interesting. But that's how I did the trip.
Similar experience, but from Hawaii. So an extra couple of weeks.
Ooh, yeah.
Because they had to ship it.
Oh, and then
ship.
I spent 22 years in we'll call it the Seattle area. I'd been to Oregon. I had been up to BC. I just stepped foot into Canada there once because I could, and it was well before you had to give your left arm and prove that you're, I don't know, biologically correct or something before you can cross the border.
Yeah.
Actually, I just went with my Washington driver's license. And
They let you right in.
I was able to cross the border, and it was not a big deal. And I had some beers, and I came back, and no big deal. So, used to be a lot freer than it is now.
That's what, if you get in the southern border, you can do that, right? You just walk right in. You don't need to show anything.
You just cut a hole in the fence first.
Right. You just walk right in.
Mexico?
Yeah, you could have some beers and then go back, but why go back? You could just keep drinking beer here for free.
I don't know. I think the U.S. portion of the border crossings are the more militant than I think the Mexicans are. Whatever, Yeah.
Did you guys cover the story about the governor of Texas dropping off the people being
in D.C.?
In D.C.
I heard about that.
Wait, what did he drop off?
There were illegal immigrants, for lack of a better term, like being released from the detention facilities, the federal detention facilities.
Oh, the busloads of people?
And he bussed them to D.C. to let them off over there.
Yeah, that was covered.
Okay.
I at least touched on it, I think, yesterday, but I think somebody else covered it earlier in the week. Because I went back and listened to all the digest
The
of
other
the
thing
week.
he's doing is stopping traffic and inspecting every single vehicle coming across the border. Now, I don't know if he is doing it. His department of whatever is doing that.
The governor of Texas is manning the border himself.
Yes, he's there inspecting tires and your tire pressure is low. You have to go back.
All right.
That's how you know that there's a lot of Mexicans in the truck, because
the tire pressure.
Tire pressure's right.
We're not going to have enough time to cover a bunch of these other stories for
Speed
show
round.
prep.
Yeah, go to the lightning round.
All right. So we talked about the a-holes. This from the Charlotte Observer. Woman accused of killing. Actually, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. There's an article from NY Mag. NYMag.com. Lockdown in Shanghai, where some residents of Shanghai actually describe the insane conditions. I'll just give you a quick synopsis. Residents were allowed out of their apartments only to take PCR tests. Few businesses could operate. People struggled to obtain basic necessities like medical supplies, elderly support, and food. Most restaurants and supermarkets were no longer able to deliver. Local authorities then took charge of food distribution, making residents dependent on government-organized food packages.
Too late to fight back, man. By the time they've got you disarmed and starving.
Yeah.
People quickly chafed. I don't know what the definition of chafed is outside of, like, you know, your thighs rubbing together or something. People quickly chafed when they started to sing and chant on their balconies. The government sent up a drone with a megaphone that repeated, "Please repress the soul's yearning for freedom."
Yep.
Wow.
Can you imagine? You're being locked down by your government.
It's a rough translation.
Yeah. And they send up a drone because you're singing on your balcony.
Because you're yearning to be set free.
And they're like, please repress your soul's yearning for freedom.
This is not the Chinese way. Repress that freedom urge.
So anyway, you can see that over at NY Mag. From the AP, there's actually a video attached to this article, but a Michigan cop on black man's back fatally shot him. A black man face down on the ground was fatally shot in the back of the head by a Michigan police officer. The violent climax of a traffic stop.
We call that an execution.
A brief foot chase and a struggle over a stun gun, according to videos of the April 4th incident released on Wednesday. Patrick Loyola, 26, was killed outside of a house in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Executed.
The white officer repeatedly ordered Loyola to let go of his taser, at one point demanding to drop the taser. Citing a need for transparency, the city's new police chief, Eric Winstrom, released 4 videos, including critical footage of the shooting or execution recorded by passengers.
Just don't run. Just don't run from the cops. They won't execute you. That's all.
And New York Lieutenant Governor resigns after bribery charges. Yay for the resignation. We need less politicians in this world, in my opinion. 603-283-6160.
Will the lightning round continue?
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say, because. And avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
We are back.
Yeah, we're back.
All right.
Yeah, we're back.
It is
What
Free
Richie
Talk
Rich
Live.
said.
It's the Sunday night edition, final segment. You might not be able to get on unless you're already on hold. But we are here 7 nights a week, 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. It's always better for you to call earlier than later, as for whatever reason, a lot of folks tend to call towards the end of the program.
And like that other caller lamented, right? Like she got through really, really easily.
Yeah.
You get through really easy.
But also, too, like if you get on the air and you get to say some stuff and we let you go, don't take it personally. This is a radio show. We have to move on to stuff. We have to keep things moving.
You know?
So don't, yes, exactly. So don't take it personally, but you can always call again another day. The only real rule that we have here is, well, don't say any of the bad words that you can't say on radio, and you only get one call per day.
Yeah.
Those are the only rules that we have, so.
But if you call 7 nights a week and you get like a 3-minute spot, you get like 20 minutes of radio time a week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I'll take your word for it.
In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Before we go on with the show, I want to say thank you to Jonathan. Jonathan is a silver level amplifier. That means he has visited amps.freetalklive.com and decided that he liked the program enough that he was going to contribute some money towards advertising, marketing, supporting, and promoting.
Not in that order.
Promoting and supporting. amps.freetalklive.com. We only ask for $5 a month. You can give more. It's a Patreon type of a page over there. So if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the characters, the content, the perspective of freedom, liberty, prosperity, and peace that we bring, please consider becoming an amplifier and helping us get onto more radio stations and promoting Free Talk Live worldwide. amps.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Jonathan, for your contribution.
And there's a variety of hosts. I'm sure one of them is going to end up being your favorite.
Odds are good.
Odds are good.
Let's go to Chris in Colorado. Chris, you're on Free Talk Live.
How's it going?
What's on your mind tonight, Chris?
There are so many things that are frustrating me, so many issues.
Well, pick one.
I could discuss. Well, first of all, we could talk about the price of fuel and how
high is it in Colorado?
We're
mile
for high? My area, 424 for regular.
All right. Okay. In my area, where I saw $3.99 on the way to the show tonight.
I pumped at $3.93 the other day, which has come down from the peak, right? Like a couple weeks ago, it was like over $4.
Okay, so one of the issues that frustrates me is the where we are now and the technology that we have. Mm-hmm. I cannot understand why I could burn I call them my CIA papers in a gas can in a trash can. And when it's cold, I light the fire. I have to put the flame right on the fire. And when the 55-gallon drum is hot, I pour a little gas on there. I can hold my flame 3 feet away from the can, and it ignites. So I cannot understand why we are not heating our fuel, why we don't go to, why our government doesn't force NASA to come up with 150 miles to the gallon, and then we maybe traverse or go to maybe hydrogen. I do not think that batteries are the answer. I think that's a scam for them to make money. The carbon trail for making the batteries, the mining, it destroys the planet more.
Yeah. And so first of all, I want to address your bit about, why doesn't the government I don't support the government forcing anybody to do anything. And in fact, I think the solution to the problems that you're feeling and the ones that you just listed could be resolved by getting government out of the way of the actual market, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine
the science? We have the science.
Right.
I'm just saying, we have the science. There, it's out there. So that would just be better for humanity. I mean, they are not planning on flying Air Force One on batteries anytime soon, are they?
No, that's a gallon a second. I think that thing takes. But I mean, if you had a car manufacturer who came out today and said, coming May 1st, we have a 100 mile an hour or 100 mile per gallon vehicle. We have 100,000, 200,000 of them ready to roll out. They would be sold out by the weekend.
Well, you might be able to verify this, Steve, being the elder statesman.
Well, yes.
Like in the 70s, right? They were like
19 cents a gallon.
Well, not that, but like cars got 50 miles a gallon.
There were cars.
Maybe the Pinto, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
So the technology to get better gas mileage already exists. What got in the way of that is all the excess safety regulations from the government weighing down the cheap light economy car that got good gas mileage, which is why 30 seems like, oh my goodness, it's 30 miles a gallon?
Yeah.
It's because of the government regulation that got in the way. Now, if you took that 1970s technology that got you 50 miles to the gallon and just thought, what could the free market have done in the 50 years since then? You're probably likely over 100 miles per gallon easy, absent state regulations.
But you have to have a catalytic converter now.
Chris?
Well, I think that, instead of making all kinds of new cars, which nobody can afford to buy, I just looked at it, a Jeep Gladiator, $70,000, new Ford 150, what the style that I would like, 60, 70 grand.
Yep. Yeah.
Why don't we make new manifolds that we can just upgrade the vehicles that we're currently driving so that we can get this economy? We don't have to spend all this money and drive all the middle class broke.
Yeah. Again, it's because the manufacturers of the vehicles today have something called lobbyists. And this, in turn, makes it so the government favors them and not anybody else trying to infringe or compete with them or even improve the existing products. And thanks for the call, Chris.
Well, and there's also nothing wrong with manufacturers coming out with new vehicles.
Nothing at all.
No. Or an e-bike. You can get an e-bike. Come on, man.
And especially those vehicles, like work trucks, right? Those tend to be a little bit more expensive than the average, consumer commuter car. So you might be priced out of what you desire, but you're not priced out of a vehicle necessarily.
All right. Being ADD and also being a bit of an a-hole, apparently, I'm going to switch topics now.
ADD hole.
Everybody switch topics. Segue. This is known as a poor segue.
A poor man segue.
This from the Charlotte Observer. Richie Rich, I brought this in specifically for you, so I figured
we got to get to it.
Enjoy.
We only have a couple of minutes. Woman accused of killing 2 cyclists tells Utah cop she was uncontrollably defecating.
This is what I worry about Sarah on her e-bike.
This is Utah, though, not Arizona.
Understood.
But,
wait, this is from the Charlotte Observer?
Charlotte Observer.
Wow.
A 47-year-old woman accused of fatally hitting 2 bicyclists with her vehicle told Washington City officers she swerved when she began uncontrollably defecating, Utah police said.
I don't know if you've ever had to hold it a little bit longer than you wanted to, but if that, unleashes.
That means taking out 2 bicyclists.
Prairie dogging?
Yeah, sure.
The 2 California men died after the crash at 2 p.m. Saturday, April 9th, police said in the news release. The brothers were competing in a bicycle race. Police did not release their names. They were hit by a Hyundai Genesis while riding westbound in the bicycle lane on Telegraph Street, the release said. The men were taken to a hospital but pronounced dead.
Here's another thing, for safety reasons, right? I don't know why they allow bikes on the street with the 3,000-pound death machines, right? Like bikes should be on the sidewalk with the regular pedestrians because it's safer, right? Like a car hitting a bike could be fatal, but a bike hitting a guy walking, right, is like, oh, you a-hole, right? Like it turns into that.
Right.
So just keep them away from the 3,000-pound death machines.
Right. And the bikes don't pay taxes to keep the roads improved.
Well,
in an affidavit, police said the woman driving told them she was on medication for a number of illnesses, including irritable bowel syndrome, and began to uncontrollably defecate on herself while driving. The affidavit said she swerved into the bicycle lane, striking the 2 men, but continued driving because she could not get her vehicle to stop. The engine died a few hundred yards away. The woman told police she had been admitted to a hospital the previous day and put on fentanyl.
Cars don't run on BS, but her story surely does.
We're out of time. Thank you, Richie Rich. Thank you, Steve Classic, for being my co-host. Thank you to all the callers and all the listeners. We appreciate you. If you missed any part of the show, find us over at freetalklive.com. Listen to the archives or the digest. Thanks and peace.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. Ukrainian officials say the battle for the city of Mariupol is still underway, despite a Russian ultimatum to surrender. Russia has claimed it's taken part of the city and warned the last remaining Ukrainian troops that they would be eliminated if they did not give up the fight. Officials in Mariupol say Russian forces are preparing to restrict access to the city in the next few days. Moscow has bombarded the strategically crucial southern port for around 2 months,